It is time for Patel It Like It Is, where Dr. Alok Patel shares health advice on the topics that matter most to you. Today, we're talking about the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. Here's Dr. Patel with everything you need to know about how we got here and how it could impact your health.
Lonely, I am so lonely. I have nobody for my own. Okay, jokes and out-of-pitch singing aside, I've been lonely before. A lot of us have, even before the pandemic. Because check it out, we're mammals. And unless you're one of those solitary creatures like black rhinos, snow leopards, or wolverines, yes, I looked this up, we need one another. So let's talk about the looming loneliness epidemic. Yes, I said epidemic. That's what the Surgeon General's calling it, because that's what it is. According to national trends from 2003 to 2020, social isolation has increased, while household family engagement, social engagement with friends, and companionship have decreased. According to data, we even trust each other less than we did in the 1970s. And the effect on our bodies go far beyond just the actual feeling of loneliness. A lack of social connection can increase your risk of developing both heart disease and stroke by 30%, and dementia by 50%. And loneliness throughout childhood increases the risk of developing mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression. And when it comes to premature death, loneliness is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I still can't believe this stat, no matter how many times I read it. Social connection is medicine for our souls. It's also great for communities. Places where residents have a sense of belonging tend to do better when it comes to measures of population health, community safety, prosperity, and civic engagement. As a country, we need to cultivate a culture of connection. This involves changes to our health sector, workplace, public policies, research, and how we use digital technology. We need to look out for one another, so reach out to family, friends, colleagues, strangers who look like they could use a high five. Public health wants us to connect because everybody needs somebody sometime.
And Dr. Alok Patel joins me now for more on this. Not everybody wants our affections all the time. But Dr. Patel, from a public health perspective, is there a clear definition of loneliness?
Diane, there's not. There's no set criteria for how to diagnose loneliness, unlike conditions like depression or general anxiety disorder. And it's important to note that loneliness doesn't just mean a physical separation from people. It could also mean alienation or not feeling like you're supported. So with that being said, the people who are most at risk or more likely to be lonely include the elderly, people who are disabled or have issues with mobility, members of the LGBTQ community, immigrants, and those who are financially insecure. It's basically people who feel like, hey, where is my tribe?
Now, you mentioned that data shows that we trust each other less than we did in the 1970s. Why?
You know, I really looked into these surveys to try to figure out what people really felt, and it seems to be across the spectrum, with some individuals citing, hey, we are politically divided and our culture wants us to not connect. Others talking about excessive individualism or a loss of interpersonal trust. But Diane, it really seems to be that we have not gotten back and focused on working together cohesively as a unit.
Dr. Patel, you also said loneliness increases your risk of death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. How is that possible?
This is wild, and it's really hard to believe that this could be true, but based on modeling on decades of research of illnesses that are associated with loneliness, your risk of premature death or dying early is right around smoking a little bit less than a pack of cigarettes a day. Because Diane, what we now know since this was presented to the president in a task force in 1978 is that loneliness is linked to multiple chronic illnesses, such as your risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, infectious disease, hypertension, and mental illness. One researcher said, and I quote, loneliness as a fertilizer for other diseases to grow on.
So what can we do to help others or even ourselves if we're feeling lonely?
You know, the Surgeon General really laid out an important plan for how we can look at different sectors across society. But a lot of this comes down to the individual level. Now, I know someone out there may say, hey, Dr. Patel, this all sounds really obvious, but taking step forwards can really make a difference. If you are elderly or you know someone who may need some support, you can reach out to national organizations, try online support groups, share positive emotions with people. That also helps. Talk to strangers like I did in that rambunctious video. Practice self-care, or hey, start a hobby. Just focus on connections, even if it's one person a day.
And Dr. Patel, how do you make sure you're not offering help where help is not needed? You know, if you're an extrovert and you like to be around people all the time, and you start bothering your introvert friends who enjoys staying in on a Friday night and having some time with their book or whatever else, how do you tell the difference between someone who's lonely and needs someone to reach out to them and someone who just likes being alone sometimes?
I'm glad you asked that, because again, it comes down to what people feel. If they feel supported. So all you can do, reach out to someone, see how they're doing. If they say, I'm good, I'm staying in to stream my favorite show and eat some popcorn, more power to them.
And I'm coming over. Dr. Patel, thanks for that. And remember, Dr. Patel is here to take your questions, so just leave a message on our Instagram feed at ABC News Live, and he just might answer your question right here on Friday.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.